Hey, everybody. Good morning if it's morning where you are. Good afternoon if you're, oh gosh, if you're in the future. Y'all have to tell me how things are going to turn out today. But today we are going to have, oh, hey, from, Egypt. Lovely. So today we are going to have the most laid back, easy day possible. And the reason we're going to have an easy day is because we're going to be looking at the CSS Box model. And I'm personally not great at CSS, and I'm not great at the box model. So we're going to approach this in a really laid back, really easy way. Yeah. Oh, Kira's asking a quick question about our last assignment. So the project most of you are probably still working on. That's fine. And Kira said, hey, the project, the building a form project, is it okay to just do basic CSS? Is it okay to just meet the requirements? Isn't it? Absolutely. You are busy. You've got a busy life. If you just want to meet the requirements so all the tests pass and send that in, you can do it. You'll probably learn a little bit more if you get to be creative and mess with it, but you could be creative later on. Everything's fine. And if you all recall correctly, I got into teaching because I like to be mean to students. I'm just a mean person in general. So, furthering my meanness, I'm going to hassle y'all about homework and not have you finished this much of your thing. I want to hassle you about your homework to be gentle to yourselves. When it comes to menu and curriculum, can you all tell me, if it's not too personal, something gentle or something soft or something easy you've done for yourself this week? Yeah, we come all the way down to the beta certification, the beta curriculum. So, yeah, what is something gentle or easy you've done for yourself this week? It doesn't have to cost money. I don't want you to pay money. Oh, hey, y'all. And it doesn't have to be, I don't want to turn taking care of yourself into another assignment, another chore. But if you've got to do something gentle and nice to yourself for yourself, let me know what it is so I can be chuffed for you. If you haven't, it's no big deal. It's just sort of a sign, oh, I might want to do something gentle and nice for myself this week. Oh, making pancakes is such a way to do this. We're going to come into CSX Box model. Oh, do you know what? That's not a small thing. Both of y'all are like, I'm getting more sleep, I'm getting more rest. That is that is one of the best things you can do for yourself, isn't it? I'm well jealous. Oh, hanging out with kids, that is a very stressful, gentle thing you can do for yourself, isn't it? Let's come in and let's look at what we're going to be making because I'm not really sure what a Rothko painting is. Oh, I mean, it looks kind of weird. Let's start coding. So it is assuming some stuff. It's saying, hey, by now you should be familiar with the basic elements of an HTML page. Candace, I love this, that you're being gentle to yourself while learning new concepts. Oh, you are after my own heart. Such a teacher's pet. What an absolutely fantastic thing to model. Somebody, let's go ahead and set up our doc type while we chat. And this is going to be capital just because that's sort of, oh, wait. I don't need two of those. It's just capital and then lowercase by convention. It'll work if I have lowercase doc type. It'll work if I've got capital HTML. Dark Gamer's asking if I'm streaming from the US. I'm actually based in the UK where it's a little bit chilly and a little bit dark at the moment, but in a very chill way. So we've got our doc type HTML. What we're gonna do super fast is just build out some of these. So we've got our head tag set up for us already. Cool. And we remember that that contains the information our page needs that isn't going to be displayed. So it's going to be stuff like, ooh, actually, the gentle thing I did for myself this morning is I woke up and made a big thermos of tea. So I'm going to grab a sip while you tell me what kinds of things, what two things have we learned that go inside the head model? And for those of you who are joining us who aren't part of the bootcamp, super chill. We're running a free web development bootcamp based around Free Code Camp. Y'all can come and join us, or you could just hang out on the stream. There's no pressure. Ooh. Oh, heck. beautiful. That is absolutely right. We need our title tags and our meta tag. And here it's saying, well, I'm not going to ask you for title and meta, title and meta. All of y'all are just absolutely supporting me while I'm lazy. So the meta tags, what kinds of things do we put in our meta tags? Here we've got our character set. And character encoding is big and complex and definitely something you want to learn about. But here, all we need to know is we're setting this to UTF-8, a pretty common standard. And here we're going to do our title as well. I think you can do these in any order, but I am consistently wrong, so I'd look that up just in case. Let's do our title as well. I thought you could put title and meta in any order, but somebody very helpfully pointed out that you kind of need to, kind of need to put meta before title. Meta's self-closing, isn't it? Because sometimes Free Code Camp wants us to put that backslash, but we really don't need to in the wild. Everything's chill. So our title. Oh, y'all. I was all delighted with myself, but our title goes here. I don't know what I'm even trying to do. Pass in a title there. Computers are hard. HTML is hard. Everything's chill. And then within our body element, we're going to make an image. And we're going to set our image to this diagram. We've got that. Ooh, what has this not told us to do that we know we need when we do an image? What's important that this hasn't told us what to do? Image source is here. And we can add that trailing slash. We leave it off. Everything's fine. Say, yeah. Perfect. Absolutely brilliant. Achraf is saying, this doesn't have our alt text. This doesn't have our alt text. Let's go ahead and do it just because we're really sound people. We're doing the right thing. What do you think? What would the alt text be here? A diagram with concentric colored boxes showing that the height is twice same size. I'm having a hard time doing the alt text because I'm not really sure what's going on. So we're going to write some alt text that's probably wrong and bad, which is fine. Being wrong, super laid back. Being bad, not great, but we're there. Twice the size of the width, and that this box contains. So the thing I really want to model here is we want to write the best alt text we can, and the alt text is really showing. It's trying to carry as much information as possible in a concise and lightweight way. Not great alt text is better than no alt text, but you still want to do the best job you can. That looks just fine. Let's keep going. Everything is fine. Actually, let's go ahead and we all see all of this. Okay, yeah. Let's go ahead and squish our instructions a little bit, just a tiny bit. So in the CSS, let's talk philosophy, my loves. I've been trying to sell you all on the idea that I've been trying to sell you all a lot of ideas. But I've been trying to sell you on the idea that a lot of not just web development, but a lot of programming, a lot of working with computers is about different philosophies, different mental models. And what we're going to learn about today is the CSS Box model. And this is a system. So this is a system of layout. It's a design system that's built into CSS these days, but it's also a philosophy. Yeah, it's a mental model. It's a system that we can apply to how we build out the way a web page is structured. And I really think the box model is cool because this comes back to another philosophy we talked about earlier, another mental model. We say, when you think about, I'm not sure why I'm doing a voice to quote myself. When you think about websites, everything's rectangles, everything's boxes. And here in the CSS box model, it's saying, you know what? This is a mental model. This is a philosophy for approaching web development where we're treating these rectangles like rectangles. This is the rectangly approach to building out websites. Nice. Let's say, imagine for a second, you receive a box from your favorite online shop. Oh gosh, y'all should recommend me some online shops. I don't have any money to spend, but I do love to see where people are getting their joy. Especially independent bookshops, please. Wait. So imagine you received a box. You went on shopping online, you got a box, and the content is the item in your box. That's the book you bought or the fancy tea. And in this case, our content isn't a thing. It's our HTML element. It could be a header, an H1 or an H3. It could be a paragraph or it could be an image. And that's going to sit inside this box, this conceptual box. And that lets us move it around on a shelf really easily. That sounds okay. It's weird. It'll make more sense the more we mess with it, I promise. Well, I promise. I promise that someday it will make sense. So we're going to change where this image points from diagram 1 PNG to diagram 2. We can do that. This is a Command C for a copy and a Command V for a paste. This is super laid back. Ooh, so this is giving us a little bit more information. So here we kind of see that the boxes we're interacting with are bigger than just the content. The blue box in the middle says, hey, the content, we've got the height and the width of the content itself, that's what's going on, is surrounded by padding. That sort of wiggle room it requires. And then we've got a border wrapped around that. I bet that as we continue to go, it's going to tell us more and more about what's going on here. Yeah. We're going to submit our code. We've got that little serotonin inducing check mark. So we can go on to the next one. Hey, so Free Code Camp isn't the boot camp. The boot camp is being run by Class Central and me and Ramon. Ramon, if you're taking the JavaScript one. But Free Code Camp is a nonprofit. If you've got the money, don't you spend money you don't have. But if you've got the money, I donate on my other account. This one's my class account. It's a really solid thing to donate to Free Code Camp. Only if you've got the cash. Yeah. So the content, the HTML element in this case, or the book, if we're thinking about a box, we've got the content is surrounded by a space called padding. And if we're still thinking about something in a box, the padding's sort of the bubble wrap, isn't it? It's the little protective bubble around your stuff to keep it from getting hurt or to keep it from really moving around. So padding, yeah. And then when we're thinking about our content in a box wrapped in bubble wrap, the border around that is like the cardboard box that our item gets shipped in. We've got this. This feels okay. We're going to change this image one more time, probably more than one more time. And that's going to probably give us a diagram with a little more information. So the cover of the book is a good point here. I think if we're following this, the cover of the book here might be the border around the content itself. So in the same way our box has a border, our content can have a border, and that might be the cover of the book. So it's a really, really interesting metaphor to continue to chase. The next time I do this, I'll put a book in a box so we can go ahead and mess with it. So here we're saying, well, that's not it. We've got another conceptual layer to mess with. And who doesn't love a conceptual layer? So really we've got our item in our box, which is our content, our bubble wrap, which is our padding, our cardboard box, which is our border, and then we've got our margin. Our margin is sort of how much space we give that box. It's if I put that on the shelf behind me, yeah. We're going to come on down. I'm going to check my code. That code's just fine. All we did was swap out the where that image goes. Let's take a look again. So margin is the outside of the box, yeah? And we use margin to control the space between that and another box. I mean, if you've got a box with some bubble wrap and a book in it, giving it space might not be that important. But if you've got a box full of snakes, ooh, if you've got a box full of snakes, you've got a completely different problem. If you've got a box full of snakes, you probably want to give it a little space between your box full of snakes and your box full of rabbits. This metaphor is getting a bit labored. Y'all are very patient. We're going to remove the image element. Okay. So here, and margins are going to feel a little bit weird. So here, let's look at our margin. Ooh, we've got a couple of these going on. So we can set margins on the top and the bottom and the right and the left. But if you set a margin on the top, what you're doing is really pushing it down. So when we set a margin, a lot of times people are surprised. They say, oh, and sorry, I'm reversed, so this is always hard. I set my margin to the right and it pushed left. What happened? I said, well, that's the thing. Setting a margin is like going to the side you specified and pushing from that direction. So if I set a margin from the bottom, I come to the bottom and I push up. If I set a margin from the top, I come to the top and I push down. And I push and give myself that extra space. Does that sound kind of okay? That sounds weird, doesn't it? We're going to remove our image element. Oh, heck. We're going to jump all around the screen first thing in the morning. We're going to delete this. Oh, heck. No, that's what we're supposed to do. We're going to check our code. All right, it says delete an element. We deleted an element. Stuff is fine. So what we're going to do here is we're going to add a div element to our body. I know. I keep saying everything is boxes, but a div is kind of a conceptual box. It's an imaginary box, isn't it? When we start a div, we got to close div. We're going to do that. And we're going to set a class attribute for this div, and we're going to set it to canvas. Okay. So right now, we don't see anything that's happening. We just have an invisible conceptual box on our website that's got the class of canvas. It's in the Canvas Club. Cool. This says we did okay. We're going to go ahead and go on to the next one. So before we can start styling the div we added, so we're going to make that visible. We need to make sure that our CSS file and our HTML file can talk to each other. So what we're going to do is we're here in the head of our HTML file. We're going to add a link element. And we're going to link that to ref. Remember, we see this hypertext reference, this ref, throwing a link to somewhere. So where are we going to throw that to? We're going to throw that to styles.css. That's the file that holds. That's the file that holds our CSS. And we're also going to set a rel attribute. And that's the style sheet. And the rel attribute, we're just telling our file, hey, I'm going to give you a link to something. And the thing I'm giving you a link to is a style sheet. Cool. Let's check our code and see if that's happy enough. Yeah. And now we can start to mess with CSS. Because when I started this morning, I was like, oh, we're going to learn the CSS Box model. Really, all we've gotten to do so far is a little bit of the review of the HTML we've already learned, but then also having a bit of a poke at what a box model is very generally. So far, we've just gotten to do a little bit of HTML and a little bit of philosophy. So even though our div has no text, it still exists. Yeah? So we can't see anything on the page, but there's a box there. And we're going to go ahead and make this We're going to style this box, but I don't think we're going to see anything when we style this box. We're going to set how wide this box is. Why are we not going to see anything when we set the width of this box? So we're going to select the class. And when we specify CSS rules for a class, we start with that full stop, super chill. Dot canvas. Remember, we put that in our canvas club. And when we know, whenever we see these wiggly braces, we've got a decent idea that we're writing some CSS. Sorry, JavaScript. I know you all use them too. But the width here, we're going to set that to 500 pixels. Oh, heck. And we see immediately absolutely nothing happens. And something has happened. I think, let's go ahead and push go and see if that actually worked. That's correct. But we're not seeing anything because we've set how wide our invisible box is. It exists. It has a width of 500 pixels, but we still can't see it. If we wanted to cheat, I mean, it's not really cheating. We could change the color of that box and see it. I bet we're going to see what's going on in just a second. Oh, sweetheart, you are never late. Everything's fine. The whole point of these is the internet. The videos are always online. Everything is okay. You go, Sadiq, perfect. You say, do you know what? We haven't seen the border or the background properties yet. And this is absolutely, I bet you money we're going to see how these evolve. So really what we're doing right here is setting the size of the default sort of wrap around the content. We're going to set the height to 600 pixels. Ooh, what other kinds of units of measurement could we use? We're using pixels, which are an absolute unit of measurement. It's little tiny dots on a screen. We check our code. Everything's fine. Our invisible box has both width and height. Super chill. And now we're going to actually make our invisible box a little bit less invisible. And we're going to use the background color. We're going to set that to hex code. I was about to say hash code. What an early morning. Yeah, Sadiq. We could set that to a pixel. Another unit we could use is a rem. So relative to a line, percentage of the parent or percentage of the default. Yeah. Oh, view height. We got a lot of different options. Oh, who wants to win my whole heart? Where could we find, if I forgot the different kinds of units of measurement I could use, where could I look those up really well? 4D, 0F. And if you don't remember what's going on here, that's super chill. We could just go back and take a look at the lessons for hex codes we learned later when we did CSS colors. And this has given us a sort of, was a very wine dark, isn't it? So what about calc? So calc is a function. What? Where do we think we might more often see calc? Does that feel a little bit JavaScripty? So you're not wrong that we could, yeah, Yahweh said, if I wanted to look stuff up, I could search online, but I could also check this out on MDN. Everything's chill. We've set this to our beautiful coffee color, and we're going to keep going. So here we go. So we just learned about the box model. We learned about the content and the padding and the border. And then we've got the margin around that. We're going to go ahead, and we had talked about that in terms of a book in bubble wrap. I'm not sure why you would bubble wrap a book. A book in bubble wrap in a box with some space around it. And here, we're going to create a class called frame. That feels like conceptually wrapping things in things again. Isn't this relaxing? And this has given us the instructions to wrap our existing div. And the terminology wrap might sound a little weird. And that means, hey, you've got this div, put another div outside it, make a parent div. And we can do this. This is super chill. And here it's saying, please give this one a class as well. We could take a look. Class equals, and then our quotation marks. We've got that syntax, yeah. And we're going to give the class not fame. That's a different type of deal, isn't it? Class of frame. We check our code. everything is easy and mellow. So let's look at our HTML as well. Actually, let's go ahead and stretch this out. Yeah, let me see a little better now. So here, we've got our class of canvas in this div. And now we've got our class of, oh heck. And now we've got our class of frame wrapping it. So we're going to say goodbye to our HTML for a second. And because we've got our canvas class here, we've got some CSS rules for it. Let's go ahead and start making some CSS rules for our frame. So the parent element that wraps this canvas div. So whenever we want to set CSS rules for a class, we start with this full stop, this period. We said frame. It is early enough in the morning where I'm like, is that how we spell frame? Yeah. And we're going to set the border of this frame. Oh, yeah, we've been learning about borders. That's chill. That's the sort of box around our element, or here, the box around our parent div. We're going to set the border to 50 pixels. Okay. Yeah, it has it. All right, we've got other stuff that's going on. And it's going to be solid. And as soon as we say, hey, 50 pixels solid, it's given us black by default. And that's chill. Oh, we've got somebody joining us who's just learning the box model. Us too. And so black is the default, but we're going to specify black anyway, just because if we're working on a project with other people, maybe they'll say, oh, Jess, she didn't say what color this should be. Did she want it to be black? Or if I say, hey, I want this to be black, we've got some intentionality behind that. So here, we're starting to feel out the box model a little more. So we've got this child element of the canvas and the parent element of the frame. Oh, chill. Everything is fine. We're going to check our code. Free Code Camp's been real friendly to us today, hasn't it? So we've got a frame, but this is a little bit too wide, isn't it? This is a little bit too much. Let's go ahead and set the width to 500 pixels. One of those absolute units of measurements we learned a minute ago. I mean, that doesn't feel like that's changed very much. So maybe we can go ahead and adjust this a little more. We're going to set the padding, which we've just learned about. Remind me, in our tortured metaphor, what was padding again? That was maybe the bubble wrap between your book and the box. So we're going to set some padding between the frame and the canvas. Okay. And we've already learned that we can set the frame for the top and bottom and left and right. But we can set them all to the same size at the same time by only giving one value. Whoop. Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. Hang on. I'm so sorry. I got sick a while back and now I just cough and cough to try and scare everyone. Fabulous. So this gets weird fast, right? Right? So, I mean, this feels like there's 3 elements on our page, doesn't it? This feels like we have 3 things. And Sadiq makes a good point that the order we can set these in actually goes top, right, bottom, left. And you say, well, Jess, or well, Sadiq, I'm just picking on you. Why do we have to remember this order? Why do we have to remember top, right, bottom, left? And we've got to learn that because we've got a shorthand. So if I have just one value here, it's going to set it equal on all sides. That's chill. But what if I give it 2 values? Ooh, that set the top and bottom to the same and the left and right to the same. So the top and bottom is 50 pixels and the left and right. But if I keep giving it different values, is the order top? Oh gosh, where's my brain? Isn't the order top, bottom, left, right? Okay. I love y'all, but y'all are giving me like 4 different things and it's early in the morning. I don't remember. I think top, bottom, left, right, isn't it? I'm giving you absolutely incorrect. So whenever we're not sure about something, we can ask an adult, and we can ask somebody more experienced. And unfortunately, your adult is me, so that's not going to work well. So the other thing we could do, we could look it up. But one thing we're going to do right now is we're going to get weird. So I'm reasonably sure that 50 pixels is up here on the top, but I'm going to change that to 1. Okay, cool. So that top value is indeed the top. This first value is indeed the top. Well, what comes next? I'm going to set that to 1. Second value in is indeed the bottom. I'm going to check what comes next. I'm going to set that to 1 just to see what changes. Ooh. That ain't right. No, nothing has changed. Top. All right. We are arguing a little bit about this. So instead of getting weird, let's look it up. Ha ha ha. We're going to hop directly to our good friends at MDN. Come on. Where is my... Okay, cool. Top, right, bottom, left. Top, right, bottom, left. Top, right, bottom. It's a clock in it. Oh, I'm so sorry to be so entirely decidedly wrong. I mean, I'm not too sorry because I'm just going to be wrong again and again. So I thought clockwise was right, but so early in the morning to forget how a clock works is a bit embarrassing. Let's try this again. And we're going to set our padding on all sides because that's nice and easy and lazy. We're going to set that to 50 pixels. We're going to check our code. Everything's fine. Nothing bad is going to happen. So we've got our padding set. Let's set a... Ooh, Evie. Look at this. Oh, remember it. Trouble. Top, right, bottom, left. Because like CSS can be a little bit of trouble. I mean, I'm not going to blame CSS here. I'm going to say, oh, trouble, TRBL, because it's troublesome to remember sometimes. Although most of y'all are more reasonable than I am, so you're going to be fine with, hey, it's a clock. So we are also going to set a margin property. So we've got 2 different things that are going on here. We've got the padding, which is this white space here, which is like our bubble wrap. And we're also going to set a margin to the frame. If the padding is the amount of space you get inside, what is the margin going to give us? So the padding sets the inside space between elements. What do we think margin is going to do? And remember, we're setting the margin of the frame. We're setting the margin of the parent element. Where do you think we're going to get space? Where is this? Where are we going to get pushed? And where are we going to see white space from the page? I'm going to set this 20 pixels auto. Ooh, already. See that we saw this jump. We've got this white space coming out here where we've got an automatic 20 pixel margin set for us. So if padding is the space you get between the interior of your elements, yeah, Daria, thank you so much. And Carlos, you got margin is the extra breathing room we get outside of that. Traf, you've got this. You know what? As soon as I asked, all of y'all were like, look. Margin's inside, padding's outside. Everything's fine. And if you forget that, that's not a big deal as well. Just try one and then the other. So we're going to make another div. It's going to be divs all the way down. We're just putting boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes to see how it feels. We're going to make another div in there. And we're going to set that class to 1. Close our div as well, just while we're remembering to. We're setting this class to 1. And I'm not picking on free code campaign. Why might 1 not be the best thing to name a class? Why might we want to give it a more descriptive name? We're using this in an assignment, so we've got a good idea that we're probably going to set classes with some numbers to keep them separate. But if this was the real world, I'd want a slightly more descriptive class just to make it a little bit more human readable. So if this was the innermost box, I might say inner box. But here, let's say for now. Ooh, this is a big question. Why do we care about human readability? Why do we care about making classes and making comments easy for humans to read? Oh, yeah, you could call the class first. We could call it first rectangle. Really, one is not a bad class name, but I always want as much information as possible in my class names for really two main reasons. There's two reasons we want to be gentle to humans when we're making class names or when we're writing comments. And the first reason is because you want to be nice to your future self. Ooh, Fadila, you've got me on the second reason. Perfect. So the first reason is you're writing classes and you're writing comments for your future self. If I make a web page, oof, I haven't updated my website in about a million years. If I make a website, maybe I'll leave that alone for a long time. And when I come back and look at my CSS, I want to be like, what is this class? What does one mean? And Fadila makes a really good point as well to say, you know what? It's pretty rare that you're the only person working on code. Yeah. Your coworkers don't want to have to come to you and be like, Jess, what the heck? What is this one? What does this mean? Yeah, Sadiq. Perfect. So we are developers. We love people. And sometimes the people we love are our future selves. Yeah. We're to set, like, we've created our class called One. We're to set some rules for this. A Fedris after. Oh, Carlos. Carlos is giving us the reasons behind, like, what these easier class names, what this human readability really unlocks for us. Makes. Ooh, I'm going to continue to pick on you. Give me a good answer. I ask you more. What does debugging mean? Is it our width? What does it mean to debug something? Is it the width at 425 pixels while we do that? If you can tell me what debugging means, I'm going to tell you, we're going to go on a little tiny journey and we're going to talk about bugs, if somebody can tell me what debugging is, because where the term bugs come from is super cool. Yeah. Oh, hello, my love. So I'm sorry, I'm terribly informal with you all. This is teaching you. So Fedris, yeah, a bug, debugging is looking for errors in your code or errors in your application and trying to fix those. Sadiq, the same, finding the errors and fixing those. Yeah, a bug is when something is broken, and debugging is getting rid of the things that are broken. I am going to find you the first computer bug. I'm trying to find you a picture of the first computer bug. And you say, Jess, what do you mean you're going to find me a picture of the first computer bug? That is ridiculous. How can you show me a picture of the first computer bug? And I say, I'm going to show you. Remember that computers used to be even worse than they are today, right? Computers today, nice little computers back in the day used to be huge. They used to be the size of rooms. And one big oh gosh, we can't see that, can we? Sorry. One big problem that we found with an early computer was in 1945, one of these big giant computers, and do you know what? I confess, I don't remember which computer this was. Oh, it was the Mark II. So Mark II was one of these first big computers, and something was broken. It kept shorting out. And what they found was a physical bug inside it in one of these first computers. And look, I love the text on this. We've got the first computer bug has been preserved. It's a moth. The moth didn't have a good week out of it, did it? And we've got, I love the text here that says First actual case of a bug being found. And I love talking about this with people using computers because or learning programming because learning programming is so complicated these days, right? You've got to learn version control. We're going to learn about that on Thursday. It's okay. Oh, Thursday's tomorrow. You got to learn about version control. You've got to learn about different programming languages. But you know, one thing we really rarely have to do is we rarely have to go into a giant room sized computer and pull physical moths out of it, which is pretty relaxing, isn't it? Sorry, we went on a journey. Let's set our height to 150 pixels. Yeah. So everything, because like programming's not easy, is it? We're going to set our background color of 1. So we're still in our 1 class setting rules. We're going to set the background color to the hex code of hash EF. That's the amount of red we want. We want B7, and we're going to add 62. Okay. Oh, so this is feeling a bit like modern art, isn't it? We've got a black border with our white margin on the outside. We've got this white padding on the inside. Then we've got this chocolate colored box and this sort of tan cream box. Yeah. So let's go ahead and keep going. One thing I like about computers these days are it's complicated, it's stressful, but again, all of our bugs are philosophical. None of them can hurt us. They're not actual bugs. They're not actual crawly insects these days. So, one thing I like, even as programming has gotten more complex, is the sting has come out of it. Very literally. So, what we're going to do is we're still in our CSS rules for this one class, which is this box up here. Yeah. What we're going to do is we're going to add a margin to it. We're going to give it, ooh. So, Meta's just joined us. We're doing a free programming boot camp. And you'd be so welcome to learn with us. You can go ahead and join the bootcamp if you want, or you could just follow along. We're learning about CSS Box models. And what we're going to do is we're going to set the margin for this one class. Oh, we're going to spell all of it wrong. I'm going to ask my very chirpy, very clever students, what do you think is going to happen? What is it going to look like when I set the margin? When I set the margin, y'all are absolutely so patient with me. There we are. Price. Set the margin to 20 pixels. What's going to happen? Ooh. Oh, that's weird. And auto. Ooh. And center. Okay. Yeah. This is Dari, Dari's a visual designer and say, oh, I'm just starting to grok some of these visual elements. It's not even funny. It's so chill. These concepts are wiggly and they're hard. As a designer, you've got to have so much better at, oh, the margin property should be set to 20 pixels auto. Is it not? Oh gosh, we don't have to specify center. As a designer, you've got a huge head start on us. And CSS Box model is hard. Taking a little bit of time to go, oh gosh, now it clicks, is super chill. Oh, and do you remember those of you who joined us? We're to come way down. Those of you who joined us for the talk from Barbara Oakley and Zach Caceres, she talked about this, how we've got to keep putting stuff in our brain in regular intervals to move it into our long-term memory. It's super chill if you have to keep giving that to your brain. That's literally just how brains work. Your brain is absolutely out to help you. Cool. So yeah, Sasha, we've got a question about step 21. Let's come on back to that at the end if that's okay. It's a really, really good question. I'm going to ask my brilliant assistant, my brilliant colleague, really. Assistant is not fair. To go ahead and bring us back to this. So, and maybe this is going to click a little more when we look at some other stuff around it. So the padding, we're still in the class for one. We're still in the rules here. And we're going to set the padding to 1 pixel. And that pushes us down, isn't it? It pushes us around. It gives us a little space. Oh gosh, no, we're not. We're in canvas. Now that 1 is centered horizontally, but its top margin's pushing, we're going to give canvas a little bit of breathing room in here. Let's check this out. We're going to go to the next challenge. And a lot of this is going to feel super weird. Another thing we can do is we can chat about this in the forum, and we can chat about this in the Discord to make sure that we're explaining this in really fixed ways. I'm not trying to get out of explaining stuff, but I want to make sure that you've got access to this in ways that might feel more durable than me making waffly sounds on a stream. Cool. So we're gonna check our code. We're gonna add 1 pixel of padding. Ooh, look at this. What's this? Overflow hidden. So we're going to do 2 different things here. We're going to do what it actually says to see what it means. The overflow is hidden. Isn't that right? Oh, gosh. What's wrong with the syntax here? Oh, have I done this wrong? Replace? Oh, gosh. Y'all. Please never, ever, ever feel bad about making goofy mistakes. No matter how, no matter how confusing stuff gets, no matter how much you mess stuff up, you are never going to mess things up as bad as I do. Very reassuring, isn't it? Sorry about that. I was just left padding and wrote overflow as a value of padding, and that's not even remotely what we're doing here. You all are giving me excuses in the chat. So Carlos is like, "Oh no, you must be sleepy." I promise that I make just as many goofy mistakes with a lot of sleep in me. You are a gift to try and give me an excuse, but what's really, really nice is being wrong doesn't hurt. I am so consistently cheerfully wrong that so much as I've got a personal brand, that might be my jam, isn't it? We're back in our HTML. Yeah. Remember that we've got 2 different styles going on here. One of them is our index.html, and one of them is our styles. I'm seeing somebody asking for our Discord. I'm so sorry we don't have it automatically set up for the Discord, but my brilliant colleague is going to go ahead and drop you the link to the forum to get the Discord. Woof. So we're in our HTML, and we're going to create another div. We're making another box. Everything's chill. Our div. This one has the class. The other box we just made has a class of 1, so I'm not surprised to learn we're making a div with a class of 2. I'm just a little allergic to the whole world. And we're going to go for about another 10, 15 minutes on these. And because I'm the meanest teacher in the world, what we're going to do is we're going to go through a couple more steps, and then you all are going to have to finish your homework. So your homework is going to be to try and finish this project if we can. Yeah? But what do you think your other homework is? Yeah? So obviously, your homework's going to be to finish the project if you can, when you get a chance. You don't have to finish it tonight. You don't have to finish it tomorrow. What's your other homework that I'm always going to pick on you about? We're going to create a class selector. Whenever we're selecting the class, we start with a full stop. Yeah. Sadiq points out your homework's going to be to finish this one. Your homework's not going to be to finish the next. If you want to, you can totally. If you're super keen, you might want to go ahead and start the next project. But come on, what's the homework I always give you? To be very So we're setting a CSS rule for this, and within our where did set our 2 box to be gentle to yourselves. Cool's got this. That yeah. Y'all are just throwing down lots of different types of homework to be like, learn Flexbox, finish our survey project. This sounds like a lot. It sounds like there's a lot of things to do. You don't have to worry about doing all of them at once. Yeah. All you got to do is get as much of this done as feels okay, and then be real gentle to yourselves. This bootcamp is just designed, I've got that said, to help support you on the free Code Camp curriculum. If you need to take more time than the 6 weeks, that's completely okay. If you have a little bit of time and you want to jump ahead and use these streams as review, that's super cool. Nothing bad is going to happen if you fall behind. Nothing bad is going to happen if you take your time and relax. Everything is durably okay. So we're here in our 2 class and we're setting these CSS rules, and we're going to set the width. We're going to set that to 200 pixels. We've done setting the width a lot, so this is going to feel okay. Why am I getting a little line under this? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that is I've already got the width property here. Look at me saying, oh, this one's kind of easy. We can breeze by. Actually reading the instructions is rather important. Oh, we're seeing specific examples. Maybe have some pancakes. Muju's got it. The big homework that you've got to do today and really every day you can manage is be nice to yourself. Be really as gentle as you can. Yeah. Everything is as chill as it can be. While we're here, we've got an invisible box called number 2. And having an invisible box, I mean, it's good for conceptual art, but let's make it visible art. Let's set the background color. Before we set this background color, let's go back to the HTML and try and figure out where this box is going to be. Yeah? So we're going to come to our HTML. We've got our head. So we can skip that stuff. We know that's not going to show on the page. Then we come down into the body. And we've got our divs here. And let's just talk through where they sit. Yeah? So we've got the div of frame. It's the black one on the outside. Okay. And then inside that, we've got the div of canvas. Okay. And then inside that, we've got the div of 1. That's that chocolate colored div we've got. And then, oh, wait. Heck, I'm wrong. The div of frame is this black one we have. Cool. Inside of that, we've got the div of canvas, which is this chocolate colored one. Yeah. And you say, Jess, isn't there a white div there? I said, nah, that's cool. That's our padding around the frame. So that white box isn't a real box. It's the space we set between our 2 boxes. So black box is our frame. White box is the padding for our frame. Our chocolate box is this div of 1. The chocolate box is our div of canvas. Our chocolate box is our div of 1. Our yellow box is y'all, hang on. We're going to do this one more time and pretend that I'm a real person. Black box, frame. The white box is the padding for our frame. Canvas is our chocolate box here. And the 1 box is our orange box. That took far, far longer than I needed to. But then we've got our div of 2. Yeah. Our div of 2 looks like it's sitting inside some of these boxes. Let's go ahead and find out where it is just by making it a new color. Oh no, if you're tuning in because you're struggling with CSS, I think I just made that 9 times more complicated by getting waffly about what box was what. The good news is CSS is hard. It's so powerful. Sometimes you hear people say, oh, CSS is rubbish. No. CSS is fantastic. It just takes a lot of work to get it to love you back. Yeah. And what we see is, oh, cool. We've got this sort of ketchup colored box, and it's inside our canvas. So it lives inside the same box. Cool, cool, cool. Ah, that's a relief. So yeah, div 2 is next to div 1, and they both live inside the parent of canvas. Even though we've got a lot of overlap here with this red box and brown box, it's still inside the brown div. Huh. Let's just do one or two more of these. And we're going to set a couple of different rules. And the reason we're going to be doing these exercises is both so we can make pretty art. It's so we can make pretty art. It's so we can get the little tick ticks on our assignments and pass the class and get our certification, of course. But it's also so we can feel. And y'all, what did you expect from programming? Did you think programming was going to be very scientific and very logical and very by the book? Because I feel like the way we've been talking about it is about feelings a lot. Because what we're going to do here is we're going to mess with these boxes a little bit, not because it's the most logical thing to do or the most scientific, but because we need to feel how they flex and move. Yeah, we've got to sort of feel how these mental models fit together. And I really like this. We've got this stereotype that programming is this cold and sterile, but no, this is about philosophy, the philosophy of these mental models and how we move and how we really use the page as a canvas. But also, these exercises are mostly about feeling how these fit. I, y'all can tell that I used to be a primary school teacher. Yeah. So we're going to set the margin here. We're going to spell it right the first time. Oh, Carlos makes a really good point. Let me go ahead and set the margin to auto here while we look at this. And Carlos is saying, well, somebody else pointed out that the red box is next to the orange box. And that's true in a way, but it's also below. So we remember the two ways we can display elements are inline, which are next to each other on the same line, or they can be block display. And these are set by default, so we can change them. Divs are block display by default. They automatically go onto a new line. So it is next to each other, but uppy down ways, not side by side ways. Carlos, you are always keeping me honest, and I desperately appreciate it. We're going to check our code. Cool. And when we set the margin to auto, what it does is it says, hey, give me sort of the default amount of space between this and its parent. Cool. Give me that default space. Because remember, the margin is the outside. Yeah? If we set the padding, it would set this space on the inside. Yeah. Can we do one more? Can we do one more? And then we'll do question and answer. And for the question and answer, we can go back and look back at somebody had a really good question about why the behavior in certain steps. We can clarify steps we've done. We can look ahead at steps that look especially hard. We can look at other assignments, or we can just do question and answer about computers in general. Ooh, if you ask me big questions about the world, I'll probably just have nothing for you. Let's do this last one. And we're going to use margins to adjust the spacing between our orange box and our ketchup box. Ketchup box? That's not a technical term. I just think it's ketchup colored. So the margin of 1, let's check and see where we are. So we're inside the CSS rules for 1. Okay, we're chill. Everything's chill. We're going to come on down and we're going to set a margin. Is the space outside? We've got this. Yeah. Oh, wait. I don't have to set it. It's already set. Right now it's 20 pixels in auto. I got this. We're to set it to 20 pixels, auto, and 20 pixels. Ooh. Oh, heck. All right. So, what's going on here? I got you. We learned who, I'm going to go back and find you because you were brilliant and you get credit for being brilliant. All of you are clearly brilliant, but somebody gave me a brand new thing. Oh, where is it? Who were you who's talking about trouble? TRBL. I just want to find you. That sounds menacing. I don't want to show up and find. I just want to find your comment so I can put it back on the screen and give you credit. Perfect. It was Evie. Thank you, sweetheart. Trouble. So we learned that the shorthand for this is top, right, bottom, left. But here we've only got 3. That's all right. It's just because CSS is weird. And what we're saying here is, hey, for the top, go ahead and push that down 20 pixels, please. For the sides, for right and left, set those to auto for me. If you could go ahead and automatically center that, that would be pretty chill. And then we say, well, I want to set the bottom individually. So we're going to set that to 20 pixels. Weird, but fine. Yeah, that's rough. Auto, setting it for the right and left for us. Ooh, so what is it? I mean, isn't it already adding the top and bottom and sides? Why do we specify once more? So we're specifying this once more. Why are we Because maybe we don't always want it to be the same thing. So here, 20 pixels and 20, it's the same thing, isn't it? So if we just had 20 pixels, auto 20 pixels, I think this is a really good question. If I take this away, does it change? Oh, why does that change? Why does that change? I would think those would stay the same, but they don't. You know what time it is? Hey, so we've submitted that. That's sees that works. It is absolutely time to look it up. What I'm doing off screen is I am in DuckDuckGo looking up CSS margin MDN. And let's take a look at this together because, you're right. It feels like that 20 pixels should cover both the top and bottom. Yeah. Oh, and Sadiq makes a good point. So when we said 20 pixels auto, 20 pixels, we're saying set the top to 20 pixels, the right left wiggle to 20 pixels, and the bottom to 20 pixels. Yeah. So when we've only got 3, let's go ahead and double check. Let's see what's going on. Just because computers are weird and I rarely know what's going on. Cool. So we've got a couple different examples here. 1M, and here we've got, 10 pixels, 50 pixels for the right and left, and 20 pixels for the bottom pushed up. Yeah. So let's find the syntax. Apply on all 4 sides. So if we only give it one measurement, we've got it all 4 sides. We've got that. What happens if we give it, here we go, that's chill. So here's what's happening when we give it 3 values. And I think this is a really nice example because this is a really good example of comments, like powerful comments. So here it's saying this first value is the top. Okay. The second value is horizontal, both right and left. Y'all are completely right. And this last one is the bottom. Chill. Oh, chill. If we, you know what? I was so wrong. Juan was asking, hey, if we only set 2 values, shouldn't that set both the top and bottom and the sides? And really, I think we have a conceptual difference because here we see if we set 2 values, one's vertical and one's horizontal. So it should generally set top and bottom. But if we want to get really precise and say, hey, don't you mess with us. When I say 20 pixels, I absolutely mean 20 pixels on both the top and bottom. It looks like setting this in a little bit more of a precise way. It might be the way to do it. So Juan, I agree with you. I would have expected to see both the top and bottom get set when we've only got 2 values. And we saw that little jump might just be a quirk of the responsive wiggliness of Free Code Camp. Yeah, I'm so sorry that I'm learning with you all, and I confess I am not the best CSS person. So I found that a little bit weird as well. And my homework is going to be to finish the assignment. I mean, I finished it before, so I get to skip that. And to be very gentle with myself. The thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit more reading around this because I think you and I, and maybe the rest of us, expected the same sort of vertical behavior on both sides. We didn't really get that. Nice and weird. let's take a look at what our homework's actually going to look like, isn't it? And when we say homework, it's not that you have to finish this all today. It's not that you have to finish it all this week. Just if you've got a chance, finishing this week will keep you on pace and it will make your life easier. I'm going to take a deep breath. Whew, and come all the way down to the beta certification. We're going to come all the way down again. Oh, it's so dizzying. Oh, everything is terrible. And you're probably still working on your survey form project. This is one of the big projects you need to do to get your certification. Come into Discord, come into the forum, and get help when you need to. Ooh, Fadila's got the answer. So we've done, how many of these have we done? Where's my brain? Oh, it's taken away my progress, which is just a quirk of the way I'm sharing. Everything's fine. Your progress should not go away. Here we go. So 27 out of 46. We've done half-ish. So you're going to need to finish all the hard part on yourself. And Fadila's added some. Fadila, you are always just giving really, really good. So you know what? Yes. Oh, when we were talking about, I expect these margins, we completely forgot to look at the margins of its neighbor. So margin's got a bottom pixel of 20. So keeping that consistent, you are absolute. You know what? The next time we do a boot camp, I'm going to bully you to teach instead of me. So like in the same way programmers are lazy, teachers like to be lazy. So we had a really good question, and I'm going to just daydream a minute. I'm going to drink some tea while I find it. Mervin, if you find it before me, I'll race you. We had somebody asking about a specific. Oh, and please ask any questions you want. So if you've got a question about this assignment, if you've got a question about the project, if you've got a question about the boot camp, if you've got a question about chilling, we could handle pretty much anything that you'd like to. As long as it's within the code of conduct and fabulous, fabulous. Love it. And I love the little face. And the question here is, can we go to step 21? And why are we seeing some overlapping behavior here? Why are we seeing that if the padding gets too big, it can jump outside, it can overlap its parent element? Let's come on in. And I'm excited about this question because we are, again, talking about mental models and sort of the philosophy. So who here, video game nerds, raise your hand, please. Not, we don't say nerds anymore. Video game enthusiasts. Video games are very mainstream these days. Back in my day, you had to go to the arcade, didn't you? But video game fans, y'all kind of have the concept of game physics, that the physics for each video game world tend to be kind of specific and a little bit different. If some of you want to become game developers, the physics of video games can take up your whole life. That can consume you. That can be what you do as a living. But here, I kind of want to look at overlap as a quirk of the physics, sort of the game physics of CSS. Because that is, I've been asking you to think about HTML elements. I've been asking you to think about CS in a bunch of different, very, very messy metaphors. But I think one thing that I haven't done very effectively is talk about the absolute horror, the delightful horror, the horror film horror, of the fact that websites are flat, right? But the mental models we are applying aren't flat. These are in 3D. So even though we're inside a box, that box can't hold us. We can come outside the box. What would happen? So one is being centered horizontally, but the top margin is pushing past the canvas. So we're pushing outside of the box we should exist, which is something we can do. So padding 1 pixel should push us. Oh gosh. Padding 1 pixel should push back inside the box. And what's happening here is just our CSS is aligned so that we've got overlap here. But we can get weird. And unfortunately, I don't have a very, very cohesive, oh, overlap happens when. Overlap is going to happen when the borders overlap. So when the rules are so set so that the physics lets you escape. And I think, what happens if we set a negative? Yeah. What happens if we set a negative 10? Takes us right to the edge of the border. So really, top margin is pushing past the canvas onto the frame's border. This is going to be something that happens a lot in CSS. And it's just that you don't have enough space between the first and second element, the parent and child elements, and they're overlap. They're crashing into each other conceptually. Um, I'm so sorry to inform you that this will happen constantly. And it's one of the things folks find a little bit annoying or a little bit challenging. Yeah. So we can crash. And here we have crashed. Yeah. Oh, someone's asking if I'm following 100 devs. You know what? Only a little bit. So this boot camp is separate to 100 devs. 100 devs. Oh, for those of you who are in the Class Central boot camp, 100 devs is another completely free programming boot camp. I believe it's from a really, really lovely gentleman named Leon. It is so good. And so, oh, y'all, we're covering the same stuff. You know what? I bet Leon is super busy. I might have to hassle him and see where we might be able to collaborate. And yeah, just because doing so much good work, I don't think there's any reason to reinvent the wheel all the time. 100 devs, I can't say enough nice things about it. It's a bit of a longer boot camp than we do because we tend to do these little 6-week chunks. Whereas he's doing just these really, really exhaustive, really fantastic ones. I've heard so many nice things about 100 devs. Yeah. Oh, yeah, the negative padding won't really work. Yeah. Sadiq's pointing. Yeah, oh, yeah, sorry. Tamika, you're taking 100 devs as well. That's so. How are you liking it? I only hear good things. Oh, we should definitely. Yeah, I'm gonna look at that. He's doing so much good work teaching y'all, and I'm like, oh, I should bother him about collaborating. I should bother everyone. Do you all have any questions about CSS, which I can muddle through with you? Or do you have any questions about computer science or about the boot camp, or really about anything at all that's going to make your morning or make your week easier? I'm really sorry that it overlaps because CSS lets you overlap. It's not a very emotionally satisfying answer. Um, but I think if I wanted to feel emotionally satisfied all the time, I would have just stuck to teaching and not done any programming ever. If we don't have any questions, let's talk one last time in a really laid back way about your homework. And then I'm going to oh, although if you want to join us tomorrow, remember that we have our core lessons on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday mornings. If you're learning JavaScript, the JavaScript, that's not fair. I forgot about time zones. If you are taking the web development bootcamp with me, what we're doing right now, it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for our core lessons at the same time. Yeah. If you're taking the JavaScript bootcamp, the core lessons are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, about 5-6 hours after this one. We get out of that morning, afternoon thing pretty easy. And we've got optional lessons. Optional, we get our guest speakers, it's chill. We get optional lessons Thursdays. Last week we learned about learning how to learn programming. And then this week we're going to have a speaker come to talk to us about how Git works, how version control works. Yeah, Roselle Scarlett, who just has the coolest name in the world and is so smart and is so cool. So jealous. Um, And what Git is it's version control. It's sort of both a machine for collaborating, but it's also a time machine for your code. The same way we can say start over, that's a really, really stripped down version of Google Control, Google version control. Oof. And I think last Saturday we had a open drop-in study session with both Ramon and myself. I think we're really likely to go ahead and have another one of those that Saturday. All of these events are going to be in the bootcamp portal, and you can add them to your calendar for there. If you want to watch these videos after the fact, so they both, if you're watching on Twitch, they continue to exist in Twitch for a while, or you can head over to the Class Central YouTube page. So, your homework, please finish this. Please get all the way through this if you can. No hurry, it's all chill. But most importantly, you need to be as gentle as you can to yourself today. I'm going to go ahead and let you go for the day. And please, please, please have the easiest morning, the easiest afternoon, or if it's late at night, you go to bed and you have an easy day tomorrow. All right? Bye, everybody.